Awesome. Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you all. My name is TJ Brennan. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager for the Indiana Department of Child Services. In my role, I am more of a strategic workforce planning consultant, I think is my official classification. But I use the Talent Acquisition Manager title because I sit as part of the human resources team. So in my role, I consult with managers on different openings that we have available in certain areas. The main focus that we have at the Department of Child Services is our family case manager position. So for our family case manager position, that is our most entry-level position for those with a bachelor's degree. We require a bachelor's degree with 15 credit hours in a human and social services field. So psychology, sociology, home economics, those where the main core centers around how to interact with folks and individuals, just to give a baseline knowledge on how to interact with our families and children that we work with. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about the family case manager role is that they would only be working with children. However, it's a lot more of working with the families centered around the successful situation that you put a child in, rather than only working with the child. So yes, candidates must love working with children, but I think one of the common misconceptions is that that's all you'll be working with, but it's a lot more interacting with those in the child's life, and how to set them up to successfully care for and move that child along in our process. One of the things that we've done quite frequently in the past is hiring folks who are right out of college. That's been a focus of ours, just because of the energy that someone fresh out of college would bring, and a different perspective that they bring as well. So that's something that we really value is interacting with students as they're set to graduate. We do have other positions as well. We have other specialty positions in our IT department that are focused around data analytics and working with the data that our field gives to them. DCS, I would say, is probably one of the more technologically advanced agencies within the state of Indiana as an employer, just from the resources that we're able to procure for ourselves. So we have a budding data team, and they focus around finding areas that we can help improving on in order to limit the number of children and folks that we have in our services. So that's a big emphasis for us as well. And there is tons of opportunity for growth within the Department of Child Services. We added 100 new supervisor positions last year. So there's a lot of opportunity for upward mobility, and there's also lateral mobility as well, after gaining experience to specialize your knowledge, and then work in a specific area and really hone your skills in certain areas. So there's tons of different opportunities, tons of growth at the Department of Child Services. So more than happy to answer any questions about what it's like to work for DCS, or what the environment is like, or I also wanted to open it up to the students or anyone who might have any questions about what an employer or what a recruiter is looking for in your resume. I think sometimes hearing that perspective can be good for students as well. So that was my little opening spiel, but I'd love to open it up for questions at this point.
We have a couple of folks who are joining us. If you just unmute your mic, we would love to have you ask some questions. If not, I do have a couple.
Sure.
Hello. I do have one question. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is the only way to begin working with the Indiana Department of Child Services is the only way through gaining, like you said, I think you said a degree or a certain amount of credit hours in human services, or like
Yeah, so that's the that's the basic the requirement for the family case manager position, but that's not the only way to start a career with the Department of Child Services. So we also have administrative support roles and other key areas of focus that are outside of the family case manager. I brought up the family case manager position because that's our where we put most of our emphasis in terms of recruitment and support is in hiring family case managers. They make up over more than half of our workforce is that one position. So that's why I started with that. But there's tons of different opportunities in our accounting department, in our background check unit. There's tons of different opportunities as well. Just the majority of the ones who enter the system, enter our agency is through the family case manager role. But that was a great question.
That is a great question.
okay, thank you.
What was that, Cindy?
That was the question I was going to ask. What other areas? I wrote down there.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's tons of other areas, and all of our positions can be found at workforindiana.in.gov. That is our the state of Indiana's website, and then you can search Department of Child Services. We have a tag on all of our positions, so you'd be able to search that in the keyword search bar, and all of our positions would open up on that just by searching that.
And TJ, you send those to Amy Trosper as well? Can you share those with
Absolutely.
Amy?
Absolutely. I can send a link to Amy.
Okay.
Yep.
And then that way it's in Warrior Jobs.
Absolutely.
So when our students go into Warrior Jobs, we love to post those.
Perfect. Great. Yeah, I can definitely work with Amy on that.
Okay. Eden, Angie, either of you have questions? Well, I have another. Can you tell us what a typical day in the life of a case manager is like?
Sure. There's no that is a cliche answer, but there's no typical day. I think one of the things that make a successful family case manager is the ability to remain flexible with your schedule. So there are a lot of times where a family case manager will start by how most people do in scheduling out their day and what they're going to do. But if a 2-hour assessment call comes in and they have to move things around, that happens quite a bit. So how I would normally put it is in terms of typical what will start their day by visiting homes on their way into the office. So visiting with families and children that they're working with. Have those taken care of, and then going into the office to finish up on court filings or paperwork that they need to produce, and then usually it'll involve another maybe an appearance at court or more court documents, and then going back out in the afternoon to finish up on some visits. So it's a lot of in and out of the office, and there's no typical schedule minute by minute, but it involves a lot of in and out of the office, visiting with families. Hopefully that answers your question. But
yeah, it does. I mean, because that really would appeal to a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to be at a desk all day, so that kind of position would definitely appeal, to students.
Absolutely, yeah. This is definitely not a position if you want to sit at a desk from 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 4:30. This is definitely not the position, because it involves a lot of in and out and a lot of traveling for to meet with the families that we work with.
Okay. Yeah. We've had a couple of students who became CASA volunteers, the court-appointed advocates. Is that something that you would encourage students to do? Would that be beneficial for a position like this?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be beneficial in order to have some child welfare experience. Some managers in offices that don't have much turnover and have experienced FCMs, they like to look for a little bit of child welfare experience in terms of volunteer opportunities or professional opportunities. But I will never discourage anyone from wanting to help with the child welfare system in Indiana, and to be able to give back. You know, if a student is in a position to be able to help in any way, I would highly encourage that, just from a self-fulfillment, you know, opportunity, not necessarily, you know, one that would help with a career with DCS, just as a way to help and give back. I would definitely recommend that.
What types of things would be helpful for students, either in, you know, volunteer or in, you know, an internship type position?
Yeah, I think you know, one of the ways that would help is, you know, potentially reaching out to the local office nearest the student, and there's a list of that on the DCS website, and asking to for volunteer opportunities and reaching out to the local office. You know, during this time period, I would probably wait, but as things start to clear up with COVID-19, students can reach out to that local county office and ask if there are any volunteer opportunities and helping around the office, and just to gain kind of that experience. We've had folks do that as well. And then Eden just messaged me asking a question if we work with foster parents. Yes, we do work with foster parents. There's information on our website I can also send to you. I can send it to Amy, and she can distribute that. There's a form to fill out, or a questionnaire to fill out if someone's looking to become a foster parent, and I can send that information after this. But we do that. That is us. We have a licensing department that works to license and approve families to become foster families.
What are some things that students can do during this period? Are there any skills they could work on? You know, there are all these free online classes. You know, are there any suggestions you have of what they can do?
Yeah, I think probably the number one thing that I would recommend to students is to never let the situation dictate whether something can or cannot happen. I would always come with solutions or different ways in order to make things happen, as a way to share in a potential interview that you have you know, a no quit attitude, or you always continue to push forward. You know, I think these are a great example where, yeah, you know, Indiana Tech could have just stopped you know, these similar meetings on campus, but no, we pushed through, and you know, we're going to provide that opportunity for our students. So I think, you know, definitely finding virtual ways to continue some of the meetings that you have at other student clubs and organizations, because what employers are going to be looking for after this are folks who are able to continue the digital transformation of their agencies or organizations. So I think speaking about how you were able to react to this situation by using the technology available to you, I think will set you apart. So if you are a club member, or you're on an executive member of a club, I would definitely continue virtual meetings, and being able to share that you were able to continue the digital transformation of that club, and that you didn't stop operations just because there was something out of your control. One of the things that most inspired me as a student was when somebody said, the only thing that you can control is the situation, how you personally react to it. So we can't control what's going on with the spread of COVID-19, but we can control how we react to that. And you know, we're following the orders of the governors and those you know, in the powers that be, but we can continue doing what we do to the extent that we're allowed to do it. And I think that would be really impressive to employers, that a college student was able to continue operations in the face of a global health pandemic. I think that, you know, that'll definitely set you apart, and that's what employers are going to really be looking for, is that is the folks who can continue that that digital transformation and help integrate technology into their office.
Great. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for the great idea on the virtual club. I'm going to send that one out for sure. Why don't you, just in the last couple of minutes that we have, tell us a little bit about what you're looking for on a resume?
Sure. I love that question. And I think one of the biggest things that I can recommend to any student is to not feel like you only need to have one resume. I think, I mentioned it a little bit before, but being flexible and catering your resume to the position to which you're applying will set you apart and, may make more of a difference. So like, let's say, take, for example, someone is a CASA volunteer. If they're applying to a Department of Child Services position, move that volunteer experience up a little bit higher in terms of placement. But if they're applying to something more of a, let's say, financial services position, I would maybe have that more down. And if they were a treasurer in the club, have that position, higher up. So I would definitely, not feel like you have to be locked into one resume, and being able to be flexible and be multiple with how you present your experience. I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I could give anybody is to, just be flexible with how you're presenting your experience. And, one thing I read that some recruiters or majority of recruiters look at a resume for an average of between 6 to 10 seconds. So capturing attention, utilize fonts and formatting to your advantage, bold keywords or key positions or key titles in your resume to make it easier on the recruiter to read it. Unfortunately, that's the person who moves your resume on to the next step in a lot of positions and a lot of situations. So I would recommend to make it as easy on that person as possible to get you into the next step, because then the interview is in your hands.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. I honestly believe sometimes as recruiters, when you have 100 people applying for a job, you're looking for reasons to get rid of a resume.
Yep.
Out to the ones that really you think have what it takes to do the job. And that personalization is so much easier than it was back in my day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, with Microsoft Word, you can have multiple files saved for different key industries that you're doing. And take a look at the job description, look at the top 3 or 4 skills that they're looking for, and then highlight how you have those skills in your resume. They always say applying for a job is like a full-time job itself, or sometimes can be. I would take that to heart. If I would tell students to take that to heart and make sure that they're putting their best foot forward. Especially in the market where it's going to be a lot more competitive here. Whatever you can make yourself do to stand out is going to benefit you in the end.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I do think we are actually 3 minutes over, so that was 15 minutes.
That was a very quick 15 minutes.
I just wanted to say I'm here from the CPS side, so I do the College of Professional Studies, but I wanted to listen in because this is good stuff. I have a lot of adults coming back to school who want to go through services, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to listen and get some ideas and things, so when they come to me asking me questions, I have things to give to them from somebody who's actually lived it. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. And whatever I can do to help students, or if I can come and present to different classes or do similar things like this, I'm always available and more than happy to help do so. However I can help give back, I'm more than willing, whether that's resume review sessions or anything along those lines. I'm more than happy to help out however I can. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out. I'd love to continue building the partnership with you all. And I definitely enjoyed myself today.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you, Aiden, Kristen, Angie, for coming. And TJ, thank you so much. And we will definitely take you up on the resume review.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And if anyone, I did have let me put it back up, your email address. If they want to contact you for more information, Is that right?
Yep. That is, yep. tbrennan@spd.in.gov. That is the best number to reach me, or the best email to reach me at.
Sure. Well, again, thank you everyone for coming. We have our next 15 minutes is coming up this Thursday with Anna Lee Hill, who's going to be talking to us about careers in financial services. And check your email. We'll be sending out a complete list through April of our upcoming events. So thank you again, TJ, and thank you, students.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.